Welcome to NC Political Tea, the show where North Carolina's political scene gets served piping hot, grassroots style. We're here to shake up the status quo with unapologetically conservative takes and a whole lot of Southern charm. From the halls of Congress to under the dome, we're exposing the deals, the drama, and the dirt that the mainstream media won't touch. Who's fighting for your freedom? Who's selling out to the woke mob? And who's about to get roasted? No fluff, no filters, and absolutely no time for spineless politics. Just bold Republican commentary, sharp analysis, and enough sass to make the left squirm. So grab your sweet tea or something stronger, and let's dive into the hottest headlines and juiciest scandals rocking the Tar Heel State. This is NC Political Tea, where the truth always gets served.
They are suffering like any of us would be. It was a very touching call. Our hearts go out to them. She is a refugee. She literally came to the United States from a bomb shelter in Ukraine to escape the war. And she was going about her day. She was coming home from work on a light rail train, like all of us do all the time, and she was brutally murdered. As a native of Charlotte, I'm so sad to say that our city has gotten to this place. I was born here, I grew up here. I remember when the light rail was built. I remember the development it spurred, I remember the excitement, and to think now that you can't even feel comfortable riding that train hits me deep.
Wow. Hi, Eric. How are you?
Doing good as you can.
I know. Well, tonight, you might be missing Margot, but Eric Stevenson, former U.S. Congress candidate, and now a county commission candidate in Harnett County, is joining us tonight to talk about different aspects of this case that we've been talking about now. You've been talking about since August 22nd. And it is what? September 9th.
Yeah.
And the media's cavalier attitude is something we're going to talk about. So the prosecutor for the Western District of North Carolina happens to be in Charlotte. You just saw his press conference. So the DOJ is going to also, and he's going to tell you why in a second, they're running a federal case in addition to the state case. Usually it's a state case and that's sufficient. He's going to explain why it's a federal case right here. And ladies and gentlemen, this is going to make you feel not very confident of the criminal justice system here in North Carolina.
We'll have to figure it out, but there are definitely challenges that. And generally when we bring a federal charge, the state charges are dropped. But this is a case where we have a first-degree murder charge, and we're supplementing with a federal charge, which I think tells you a little bit about the state system, that we can't trust that a first-degree murder charge is going to take someone off the streets for as long as we need them off the streets. We have.
What?
Based on this individual's past record and how many times he's been released, the state has shown that they won't keep him behind bars. So I don't see what the issue is, having the federal government come in and add an extra layer of protection for this individual to not be on the streets. I don't think anyone, regardless of their political background, will argue that he needs to be walking around out on bail.
You'd be wrong. You'd be wrong. Because
based on these recent events, people still would argue that he should be out on bail.
In that very press conference, let me show you what a journalist asked this prosecutor. If you can't hear it, I'm going to kind of talk over a little bit, but watch this. Whoops.
Your bosses got involved, especially last night, publicly about it. I'm curious, what do you say to people who see what's happening here today and wonder if this is political?
Okay, this journalist is asking, what do you say to people who say that this is just political grandstanding by your department and you're just up here playing around? Okay.
Yeah, I don't see how you would see this case as political grandstanding. And if you do, I think you should have the conversation that we just had with Iryna's family, because there's nothing political about that. This is a heinous crime, and we are going to remedy it. I don't know what the politics is here. If this was a political grandstand, there would be an opposite side to this. Is the opposite side, let's allow murders on our light rail? Is the opposite side, let's let people out of state prison so they can commit other crimes? There's no other side to this. There's no politics to this. This is a pure and simple federal case.
Okay, and just so we're all clear, this is what this guy thinks there's two sides of. And I have to tell you, I'm going to show that because
That's tough. That's tough for a lot of different reasons. For one, that's a human being. And two, if us as human beings are watching it, you can't help but put yourself in that situation, whether that's you sitting there, a loved one sitting there, and as parents, our children sitting there. How could you not consider that? How could that even be political in any way? I saw a criminal and I saw an innocent person. I didn't see their registration card. I didn't even see if they were a U.S. citizen, a naturalized U.S. citizen. I saw a criminal and I saw an innocent person getting off work that looked like they were tired, sitting on public transportation, which I've used in DC, in North Carolina, in many other states. I've used public transportation and I've sat down and not had a concern of who's behind me. So how could a person not have compassion to that situation without it being politically charged in any way?
well, this is what the media is doing. And before I get to that, I just want to point this out. There were people that could have intervened and did not. And I think it took over a minute for this man. By the way, this isn't a race thing. This is a Black man who I think was 2 trains over, who did what you would have done or anyone else would have done. There were people sitting there. That was another thing that is upsetting as hell. That you're, to your point, you're seeing human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we on the right, we're not the ones racializing everything. That's the left. The left corrupts everything with race. Period. Point blank. The end.
Yeah, and I could see, let's just say when the initial thing happened and he walks and he's there, maybe you're afraid of him, but he's gone now. So what's the hold up to getting to the person to say, are you okay? What just happened? Maybe they didn't see exactly what happened.
They did. They got up because the guy behind got up. The woman was looking over. He left. And by the way, on the way out of the train, he said this twice. I got a white girl. I got a white girl. So this turned up being, and I think it's a racial hate crime. Because
based on the words that came out of his mouth, that the answer would be yes. But at a minimum, you don't even need it to be a hate crime. This is murder. This is first degree murder. Like, you don't even have to add any charges on top of it. Like, this is open and closed case. This is open. We got video. We have video evidence. How open and closed can you get?
Well, that was the thing. When I was watching this, I got really pissed off at this press conference because the media is doing what they will do. Now, I'm hard pressed to do this, but I'm going to have to play Brian Selter from CNN. He actually doubled down on this. I know. So if you guys are eating, yeah, I apologize. This guy's the worst, but he's speaking for the media, which, by the way, first they ignored it. Then they got, and you'll see this, they got pissed off at us for noticing it because we on X, we've been pounding this. There's been 4 or 5 accounts out of Charlotte that I've really saluted on the platform that have done this. And now, by the way, now that people know it happened, now they're pissed off at the prosecution saying it's grandstanding. But here, Here's this clown.
News to social media and now to the president's attention. And it's being used, as you said, Brianna, as a political symbol, with MAGA media calling for more forceful punishments and more incarceration. I have to say, some of the replies to Musk, some of the comments around this story are baldly racist, stoking fear of African Americans because this man attacked a white woman. The open racism on sites like X today, it's eye-popping. But there are also legitimate questions about this so-called career criminal.
So-called career criminal. The guy says he got a white. I mean,
okay, so I'm gonna help Brian out a little bit. Yes, there are racist people on all the platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Throw all those accounts away. Throw all those comments away that are making the comment about the case and being racist against Black people. Ignore all those accounts. But there are many accounts who are reporting what happened. Let's focus on those accounts. Don't use the bad guys as a reason to throw the whole case away. This is a big racial storm. No. Let's only focus on what actually happened. If there was only one account that posted this story that says, hey, this is a horrible crime and something needs to be done, let's focus on that one account and this one case of what actually happened. They try to distract you all the time, right? Like a magician would do something with their hands over here because they don't want you looking over there. That's what this is. When you say this is racism on X, okay, throw away all the racist accounts. Let's just talk about what actually happened and what's being done about it and what hasn't been done in the past based on the legal system in Charlotte and many other cities. Because this one individual has been in courtrooms several times and has been released several times. We want to make sure that doesn't happen again. So it requires this level of attention.
Yeah. And I will say that the family of DeCarlos Brown Jr. has been victimized as well. He's beaten his sister. Didn't get locked up. The mother has pleaded. By the way, if there were bail and the mother posted bail, she wouldn't have. She has said she's sorry for what has happened. She has involuntarily committed him and done the right thing. It's for her, an adult son. She has repeatedly begged. So she's saying that he is a menace to society. His own lawyer said he's a menace to society. And then he gets out for no money bail from I would say, controversial at best magistrate here, Teresa Stokes, who turns out, may not even be a lawyer here in North Carolina, owns a recovery center, which means you create the problem and the solution. And I have found that there's a Teresa Stokes living where she claimed to live, etc., with 4 bankruptcies and 4 liens, active liens. And while that is a civil court, you do wonder what kind of blackmail money it may set somebody up for if they're hard on their luck with money and they're in a position like that. So we have a lot of problems here. And you're right. This isn't a case that we're making a big deal of. This is a symbol of what we see in city after city after city. Chicago, I believe there were 50 shootings this weekend. And I would argue this. It's because the victims are Black, which is typical, that they're not getting the attention they needed. Because if Black lives really did matter to these activists, they would show it and this would stop immediately.
Yeah, there should be a concern for any loss of life, right? So why aren't the people mad at we'll just say it's usually gang violence, right? Black on Black crime. Those mothers matter, those grandmothers matter, those fathers matter that are losing kids. And this young lady's life matters as well. But the same horn that we're blowing and getting attention on this case, I blow the same horn every time a Black man is shot down. It's wrong. It shouldn't happen. Murder should not happen. How do we fix it? I will shout from the rooftop on the ways I believe that we can fix or reduce and mitigate these things from happening, of any race, but specifically the Black race. I'll speak on that because a lot of times, they would look at the right and say, well, you can't say anything because you're not our race. So you can't speak on the black family, or I can't speak on the white family. Okay, then we'll just let subject matter experts speaks on it. Well, I'm a subject matter expert on the black family.
Well, it's funny that you should say that, because I'm going to play this clip from Annette Albright, who is Trump's pick for school violence czar, if you will. And she was on Thursday, and she said something very interesting. I want to see if you agree with it. I mean, look, it's funny because when she said it, it resonated with me because I'm Jewish. So when she said what she said, I'm like, I can kind of identify with that, but because we're minorities. But see what you think of what she said.
You can't talk about black people in front of white people because that leaves a door open for white people to be racist. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And he's like, yeah, they're going to make a lot of racist comments. And I would like, it's on the internet. We have this thing now called social media. And black people can't just go hide out in the church and talk about our problems among each other and come back out like nothing's happening. They know it's happening. They know. So why not address it and come up with strategies these are our children. They're dying and they're killing each other in the streets.
What do you think?
You have to have these conversations publicly. And whoever is saying, well, you can't have these conversations, publicly because it opens the door for white people to be racist. If someone is racist inside of those conversations, everyone in the room is going to turn to that person and say, that was a racist comment. You need to get out of here. You're not a part of this discussion. But anyone that is offering sage advice, anyone that is offering what they believe to be a possible solution, I mean, I'm okay with that. And if there are people that feel like, well, you can't speak on that, okay, well then let the people that are proven in the community, and I believe I'm one of them, as a 20-year husband, as a father of 6 and 11-year-old daughters, a present active father that has been there. I work, everything I do is legal. I'm in my community. I served for 20 years in the military. If I can't speak on the value of the nuclear family, then who can? So I'll meet you halfway and say, okay, well, everybody can't talk about everything. Okay, but I can talk about it then. Since we're talking about black crime or this particular crime, well, how can we get people like him off the street? How can we prevent or reduce people from being in his shoes? It's not going to be foolproof, but I know for a fact the nuclear family, there are statistics that show kids, black and white, that have both parents end up in a better position as they go through life. You cannot disprove. Those are facts that we have, data, statistics that show a 2-parent household, kids that come out of 2-parent households do better in life. You can't argue with that. Who would want to argue that it's not important to have the nuclear family? Now, I know there are people that would, because I came out of a single parent home, a single mother home, until I was in 9th grade. And I remember as an adult a few years ago, I was reminiscing. I said, wait a minute. Every housing project that we lived in, there were no fathers, because you're not allowed to have a male in the housing projects, because you're getting stipend to live there, and part of it is because you're a single mother. There were no fathers. So if there were 400 apartments, there was not one father in that neighborhood, and we're a bunch of kids outside running around playing, having a good time. No fathers at all, from one housing project to the next housing project to the next housing project to the next. And you can't tell me that those kids, that all 400 apartments, every kid is going to end up in Harvard somewhere.
You don't want to end up in Harvard.
No, well, I'm sorry. You don't name your school outside of these Ivy League crazy schools, but you understand what I'm saying? Or in the military, like I did. I'm blessed to be where I'm at.
So I'm fascinated with that, because in an environment like that, I would imagine that respect for men is at an all-time low.
I would say as a kid, you don't realize it, or you don't see it the absence. So for disrespect to occur, a person needs to be there, right? For there to be a disrespect, or we don't respect him, get out of here, but the absence is now the mothers are going to do the best that they can. And let's say, for example, if they came out of a single parent home, now we're talking about we say generational curses of a single parent home, a teenage mother trying to do the best that she can. She's doing all that she knows to do. And the system says, if you want these food stamps and you want this apartment, you can't have a husband. So there's no one saying reconcile with your husband, reconcile with your boyfriend, and let's bring the family together. Right. Y'all can stay right here. We will assist you as a family in making it as a family. It's anti-family. The handouts are anti-family.
Well, it's because of the left. And so it's all well and good to tell people, lesbians or whatever, living in Park Slope, Brooklyn or whatever. You don't need to be a family. You can just, have this kid, etc. You can have all the kids you want and blah, blah. Right. And they make the money to get the kid therapy because they're going to need it. They make the money to get their kid out of jail because they're going to need it. They make the money to pay the bills, etc. So they give that same advice, and that's all well and good for the hyper progressives, right? But the left has done this specifically and deliberately to the Black community, repeatedly. And so, of course, we're preaching to the choir here. We understand what they've done to you guys. And they've done this and they've set this up. But not only that, they glorify it. So when someone like you or Annette comes around and you say this, you're being called an Uncle Tom. You're being called a racist. You're being called a race traitor. And I know that it happens. And so, and Mark Robinson, which we're going to play also. And so let me put this guy up, because this guy is actually a rep in Charlotte, Mecklenburg. So he's the anti-Eric, if you will. And he has said absolutely, positively, not one doggone word at all. Now, he has talked a lot about white people, specifically, and he's used, language I'm not going to use. And he's saying, it's scary to know that I can get followed down the street by a white guy, attacked, killed, and he walks free by claiming self-defense. So he said absolutely nothing about this innocent murder, that everyone's talking about. And the guy represents Mecklenburg. But what he's doing, in my opinion, it's an act. But here's the guy that what I'm talking about. He did call you those things, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's funny that he's found himself, in this situation here. I want to say it was a couple months ago, I was at the NC, at the legislature, advocating, for children not being able to view, pornography. And I had made some posts or whatever on X. And I guess he didn't like something that I said. So he went to my page and saw that I ran for Congress. And then he was laughing that I didn't win. And I said, I really want to know what's funny. I'm a 20-year Navy veteran. I raised my hand to run and work for the people of North Carolina. And I want to know what's so funny about that, because he's trying to get off topic. Why are you promoting pornographic books in North Carolina schools? So
which, by the way, also causes criminality, encourages rape, So in other words, you've dedicated your life to saving children and saving men and starting as young as you can.
Yeah.
But go ahead. But he's got a problem with that for reasons that maybe we ought to look into deeper. But go ahead.
I'm curious now. And like I said, I'm at the legislature all the time. So I had mentioned to him, I said, hey, I'm at the legislature all the time. I would love to know what's so funny about me running for Congress and not winning. There were 14 people in my race. I just want to know what was so funny about that. I've served my country. What have you done? And he hasn't done anything, literally hasn't done anything. I may be working at Harris Teeter with the biggest thing he ever did.
Listen, but if you say Harris Teeter around me, that's going to trigger me.
I'm sorry. He worked at a grocery store. He worked at a grocery store for a little while. So I just happened to be at the legislature, advocating for children. And I was standing in a hallway And when I tell you, he walked out of a particular door, and I just happened to be standing there. I wasn't looking for him. I just happened to be standing there waiting for people to come out. And when I tell you, he saw a deer in the headlights, and he was going right, and he made a left turn. Like, do you really think I'm going to harm you? Like, what? Are you afraid of black men? Like, what's the problem, sir? Why did you make that quick left turn? I'm just curious. I was standing right there because I did want to know what was so funny. Why people don't talk in person anymore? Like, I don't want to have a conversation with you.
Very different when you roll up.
Yeah. I wanted to have a conversation. Why can't you have a conversation? Because you need to show more respect for your veterans. You need to show more respect for your elder statesmen. And if you're so black as he claims to be, your elder black men that are doing great in life, you should show more respect, young man, to men like us in our situation. Because
you have wrong think. You have wrong think.
I got the wrong thing.
You got wrong think.
Wrong think. Oh.
Let me tell you, in the Jewish community, what happens is if you have wrong think, like you like Trump or something like that, you're not supposed to have wrong think. So you got to keep that to yourself. Right. So in other words, being a proud, whatever you are, minority, it stops as soon as you have the wrong think.
Okay. So, and I guess my wrong think is, men die, but ideas don't. So values don't. So conservative values is what I cherish. I don't promote any man. Are there people still running around waving Ronald Reagan flags? I mean, he's dead. But what he fought for is not dead. It's still alive, what he fought for. So the conservative values, the family values that I'm fighting for, I don't see any person that can't get behind that. Okay, you don't like whatever politician, name them. Tillis, Trump, just name your whatever, any Republican. You don't like any of them. All right, cool. Throw all of them out. But who's against protecting women riding the train? Who's against children viewing pornography? Come on now. I'm just saying, we all should be able to coalesce around ideas. Men die, ideas don't.
That's a problem in this country. You can't even agree that there's two genders with these people. There is no middle ground. But I'm going to join in with this conversation. I'm bringing Sean on the right. Sean,
I'm so happy to be here right now. Like, you guys actually don't know, I joined this like early because I've been listening in, but I'm so excited to join this conversation.
But you're another minority. You're a gay guy. I mean, so you know what wrong think is, right? We've got.
Well, but that's what I want to say, Sloan. We have a Jewish woman, a black man, and a gay man on the screen right now arguing for conservative values. Like, can we talk about that for a second? Like, what is happening?
Wow.
Hey, Sloan, real quick, and Sean, let me tell y'all something real quick. I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and I was telling them I was in the Navy and served for 20 years, and I remember I got an apartment, and my good friend, a coworker, he lived upstairs, and I had a roommate, and he had a roommate. Now, back in them days, you couldn't say you was gay, so your roommate had to be, Now, my roommate was actually my roommate. You know what I'm saying? So, but his apartment was so laid out. I said, hey, man, you got to come down here and help us decorate our apartment. So he brought his friend down. He brought his friend down with him. My roommate doesn't know that they're gay. I mean, how do you know? They regular guys, right?
They decorate. They decorate.
But they can decorate. So we're standing there, and his friend maybe assumed that we were also. So he started saying some like outright stuff, right? And my roommate is over there like sweating bullets. But my point is, none of that stuff matters, man. I have had gay friends for years, man. I've had Jewish friends.
Same reason why I was a military brat. So first of all, thank you for your service. I moved around this entire world my entire childhood. I lived in Iceland on a Navy base, and I moved to South Korea and lived on a military base in South Korea. Like, I was a military brat. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
But I do think that it is hysterical. I mean, it's the same reason. It's the same thing, right? Like, I have Black friends, you have gay friends, I have non-Jewish friends, I've got Sloan as a friend. Like it's what do they call it again? Blank politics.
Identity politics.
Identity politics. Thank you. It's identity politics, but none of it matters because you're getting to the root of what actually needs to be talked about, which is the policies, which is exactly what you're arguing for right now, Eric, which is like, if I can set up, okay, maybe you don't like Trump, fine, you don't like Trump, but let's talk about the policies. Do you agree with these policies? Because if you agree with these policies and you can get on board with this movement, then we can get along. And that's why Trump has dominated politics for the last 8, 9, 10 years now, is because his policies are based on common sense. But I will let you lead us back in, Sloan, to the conversation.
Well, no,
I'm just excited to be here.
I think this is great, and because we're talking about, it's like nobody wants to talk, and I know it's sensitive because, again, I told my friends, I'm like, look, I'm working on this story, and I'm really coming at Republicans hard. I told my friends, I'm like, I'm just glad people aren't hating me because I'm a Jew for the last 3 weeks. It's for something completely different. Like, I'm glad I'm off the griddle for a little while. But we know how sensitive it is to address issues in your own community, and there are issues going on. I'm going to bring in another perspective. Actually, it's kind of the same perspective from Mark Robinson, and I think the way he talked about it just was very succinct. I really do miss him on the political scene. I have to say, he has a great way of just kind of telling it like it is, no matter if you like him or not. This is kind of love him or hate him. But here's what he had to say about the situation.
So we have a criminal suspect with a criminal record a mile long who dies while being arrested by a policeman. He becomes a national hero. Okay? Seeing his picture all over, not just the United States, all over the world. And then we have this innocent girl who gets on the metro and sits down and is stabbed in the neck by a criminal who's been arrested 14 times. And the media could practically care less. The leftists who care so much about women's safety and women and all this stuff that they talk about, and they could care less. How is this happening in our society? I can tell you exactly how it's happening, because George Floyd, he fits the narrative because he's a black man and he was, quote, unarmed. And that guy who killed him was a police officer, and he fits the narrative even more because he was a white guy. And then on the flip side, the guy on the train with the criminal record a mile long has been arrested 14 times. He's a black guy, and the woman he stabbed was a white woman. Guess white lives don't matter, do they? Especially when they get stabbed by black criminal suspects. It's really sad, folks, what's going on in this country right now, and folks need to stand up and push back again.
And that's the thing. It's like, take his color out of it, take all the colors out of it. We're here because the left has injected color and identity politics into everything, but it is getting people killed by exonerating people because of their skin color.
So go ahead, Sean.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, I have not dug into the story about the judge, but I do know, what I am aware of is the conflict of interest with the judge, where the judge is also a member of the board for an I guess what I would call like she owns a rehab center, part owner. Okay,
and not this board. Yeah.
And so there's obviously a conflict of interest there. I've also been told, I have not independently verified this, so I'm saying this without independently verifying it, but I've also been told that she has never graduated law school. So
that's what
this is interesting to me, that as a judge, this person obviously has a very clear conflict of interest. She should have recused herself from any hearings involving this individual. Any hearings basically at all involving any minority group, based on her affiliation with this other group that's based on second chances for minorities. So you basically, as a judge, should be recusing yourself from any case involving a minority in that instance.
She's a magistrate. And I want to say something. I want to step in here because this is on my mind. This is public knowledge. This guy got no money bail just to walk out and sign a piece of paper. I was given maximum bail, all cash that was allowed, all cash for a post on X. And I am effing furious. There has got to be something done about the arbitrariness of, in this case, in Charlotte, law enforcement did their job 14 times. But if you're going to come before a magistrate that can say, well, they're black, they're white, whatever, then somebody is going to wrongfully be arrested, right? And someone is going to be killed. And that's what we have. And I would suspect that the no money bail is certainly a huge problem. It originated, one of the cities it originated in is in Charlotte. And by the way, Eric, you know this, the victim of most of this, if we're talking about black violent crime, happens to be black people. So when we talk about this at the schools, by the way, that if you're black and you're a young man, that you can't be punished, guess who 9 out of 10 times is the victim? It's black girls. So we're talking about the victims, period. In this case, black victims. They mean nothing whatsoever.
Sloan, though, if I can jump in for just a second, the problem with this narrative is that the left perpetuates is that it actually leads to mass, I don't know what you call it, groupthink, where the media narrative, if you look at, everybody has been posting on X, on Instagram about how the mainstream media has not talked about this story until Axios post about it. Their first post about it, what did it say? Their post about it said, murder in Charlotte basically lights a fire under the Trump team's narrative about,
Look at this. This is New York Times.
It's a firestorm on the right.
On the right?
So the problem becomes actually that their narrative that they originally sold to the group was, the black man George Floyd getting killed by the white cop. Now they have had to completely flip their narrative to say, now this one instance, they want to say this one instance of a white person being criminalized by a black individual has caused mass chaos in the community because of this, and that it's actually the Trump narrative's fault. When in reality, we all know that statistics have remained the same over the last 10 years in terms of white on white crime, black on black crime, white on black crime, black on white crime. It doesn't matter. But they want to change the narrative.
We know that. And before you came on too, Eric was just saying, look, as a human being, can we all agree this is universally abhorrent?
Regardless of race. Correct.
Yeah.
Regardless of all of it.
How is it a firestorm on the right? I guarantee you, every person that rides that train, a firestorm was lit under them. Every person in Charlotte that rides that train on a regular basis, Democrat or Republican, Independent, Green Party, Tea Party, had a strong concern about tomorrow, the next day, about getting on the train.
Oh, yeah.
So I disagree with this title right here. I disagree with igniting a firestorm on the right. Let's poll the riders of the train and see how many of them had a concern about the next time they had to ride the train. Where did they sit at?
Well, I just want to say, because this was part of the reason why I texted you, why I came on. The light rail is very literally, it's less than a football field away from me. I walk past it every day. And there are actually, I'm glad that attention is being drawn to this because of this issue. Don't get me wrong, I hate that this is why attention is being drawn to it, but there are bigger issues than just the fact that in the Charlotte area, and this is that I just want to make a couple points and then we can continue the conversation. But CATS, the Charlotte area transit system, which is in charge of running the light rail. I just recently made a video. You can go to my profile and watch it on Instagram or on X. But Katz runs the light rail, and they have been raking in hundreds of millions of dollars in the last few years. This year alone, their budget is $261 or $266 million. Wow. Even WBTV, which is I would argue is a left-leaning outlet in Charlotte, is talking about the fact that they are having a mass exodus of their leadership. They received a $30 million grant from the Biden administration last year, and I made a video to show people one of the biggest problems in the Katz system for the light rail is the fact that any person that wants to can simply stumble up and get on the train.
Well,
and
no
in
fair.
my video, you can see there are no barriers. This isn't like the subway system in New York where you have to walk through something and scan a card to get through. I show in my video, I scan the street, I scan it all. Anybody that wants to can get on this system. So first and foremost is the fact
that without paying his fare, guys.
First, yes, the man who murdered this girl, I guarantee you, I would bet everything that I own, which is not much, but I would bet it all, that the man did not pay his fare to get on the light rail. And I show in my video, here's where you're supposed to pay the fare. They have a line on the concrete that says no fare line. So you're not allowed to cross the line unless you paid for your fare. But I show in the video, you can simply just walk across, and anybody who wants to can get on the train. Here's the bigger issue.
You didn't video yourself getting on the train without paying the fare because your ass will be in jail.
I absolutely did. And you know what? I hope that they come and arrest me, and I hope they put me in prison for not paying the fare. I hope they do, because it maybe would help, disclose this narrative. You're spending $260 million a year to operate Katz. Back in 2014, 15 or 10 years ago, we were paying $3 on average per fare. Today, we're paying $16 per fare. So what that tells you is, yes, so this is a massive story. And people don't realize too, Katz, there's a massive issue in Katz that no one has tapped into. Actually they've been deferring maintenance on the light rail trains for so long that a federal, the FTA audit this year revealed they were responsible, because they were deferring maintenance for so long. They were responsible for a derailment that wrecked a train and caused 34 people injuries. No one wants to talk about these things. This is a bigger issue, but what it all curbs into is that there is a leadership change that needs to happen in Charlotte. People in Charlotte need to wake up.
It's going to, because I'm going to tell you what, the whole world is descending on Charlotte. So it started on Saturday night.
Good.
To my, I love Randy Fine. So he calls himself, by the way, his pronouns are Hebrew Hammer. Tells you how much I love him. He's out of Florida. He first said to this judge we're talking about is that we're going to make sure that if you are a magistrate and you release someone and they go out and kill someone, you're going to have to pay a price. So he was first to come out, and his thesis is so true. It's like, it's very easy for people to say in their secure areas, progressives, that, I think everything should be decriminalized. Like that yo-yo up in New York City that's about to be the mayor, right? But he's saying that there should be a price to pay. I think we all agree with that. And I can tell you since that Tim Moore, who's a congressman in that area, and I think Brad Knott, I think all the U.S. or the North Carolina delegation has put up something to remove her. Now that can be done at the General Assembly level as well. I know that Dave Bolak has said they're going to audit, from soup to nuts. Department of Transportation head Sean Duffy is going to. So I think they're going to be looked at, every bit of it, Sean. If there's money going around, yeah.
Because they've been lining their pot. This is actually a bigger story. So this has been an issue I moved to Charlotte in 2020. And so I've been here now 4.5 years. And this has been an issue that everyone in the Charlotte area has been talking about.
But they keep voting.
No one in the national media wants to talk about. But what I'm telling you is that I believe, I don't have proof of this, but what I believe is that these executives of Cats are lining their pockets and walking away. And that's why when this FTA FTA, I believe, audit came through and they said, you guys caused this train derailment, there was, as described by the what I would say the leftist media in Charlotte, they're claiming is a mass exodus of people from Cats is because people are trying to save themselves. So this is a bigger issue, but like, it isn't only about protecting, and this is what I want to hit home. It isn't just about protecting taxpayer dollars. It's actually about protecting the people on the train. Like, if you have an open door to anybody who wants to stumble up onto the train, you are opening the people on the train up for an opportunity to be harmed, whether it's by someone who's paying their fare, like they might in a New York subway system, or it's by anyone else who wants to stumble up onto the train. And that's the problem here. Is like Cats obviously doesn't care, and no one cares to say we should probably monitor this.
Nobody's been held accountable, but if you find your ass in jail for doing stuff, it has a miraculous way of making people care, right, Eric?
Oh, look, stiff penalties are always going to be a good deterrent. I've been to some countries. I've been to Turkey. I've been to a lot of countries overseas, right?
Singapore. Ever been to Singapore?
Oh, you
they don't
mean
step
where you get that rock? Those certain crimes don't happen in those countries, just point blank, because the penalty is swift, it's immediate, and it's firm. So if we have a society that, okay, if you shoplift for under $500, then you can walk out the store, no big deal. We saw what happened during the summer of love, right? We saw this extra shoplifting because the thieves knew there was a threshold that they could rob and steal from, and nothing literally would happen. They're walking out of Neiman Marcus, they're walking out of Gucci, they're walking out of the Apple Store, Walmart, and you name it, because there was no penalty. Stiff penalties, bring them back, put them in place, and all of us, all Americans, can go and shop and feel safe that we aren't going to be in the middle of some mass mob coming in robbing Foot Locker or Walmart or wherever we are. All Americans, because I guarantee you, the average person sitting at home, husband that sends their wife out to the grocery store, expects her to come back home. There are no Democrat and Republican firing lines. There are no Democrat and Republican employees. We won't steal from that employee because she's a fellow Democrat. And we're not going to rip some clothing out of her hands because she's trying to defend the store. No, we're all at risk. We had a Walmart here in Fayetteville close a couple of years ago, right? It was a brand new Walmart, and it was placed on, I'm just going to say, a side of town to where it was needed for one, but there's a high density of crime area. When Walmart leaves, they were fed up. They got robbed every day, shoplifted every day. When Walmart says we're just going to pay a couple $1,000s of rent on this building for the last 6, 7, 8, 9 years, instead of actually making money here because we lost so much money from theft, that's a telling sign. But you know what people were saying? Oh, Walmart, they're racist for leaving those people in a food desert. Hey, we're letting people rob Walmart and nothing is being done. So we find ourselves in this place. So we do need the balance of stiffer penalties. We do need the nuclear family to be promoted instead of single parenthood being promoted. We do need work-related incentives, for help, not just being able to sit at home and collect a check. All those things together are going to help reduce and mitigate crime as time goes on. But we don't want to have that honest conversation. We just want to talk in our silos, and we want to use race at the beginning of every sentence, and it's not going to get us anywhere.
Well, my concern is that Trump is doing so much by executive order that, because it's emergent. Look, he's, we are sinking here as a country. I am very fearful. And I've been very open about this. I don't like weak Republicans. I call them trans Republicans. we have them in leadership. I believe that Senator Phil Berger, who is really ruled with an iron fist up in the General Assembly, needs to go. I think that corruption needs to go, and that there has been a tendency to make a whole bunch of laws and say, wow, we made 113 laws, etc. But there's zero oversight, none. So another function at the General Assembly has to be oversight, because you can make these laws and you can do these things. But why wasn't there an audit of the magistrate's office? And the General Assembly could have done something to take her out of office already, but they waited for the feds to do it. There's so much that the General Assembly can do. For whatever reason, they're not. Let me tell you another story. Medicaid has been audited and time after time found in default. Doctors and nursing homes, there's been audit after audit, shows that drug addicts, damn women abusers, sex addicts, etc., get to keep seeing patients year after year after year. There's been audit after audit, and yet our health committee in the Senate, what do? They pat themselves on the back because they made more legislation and more legislation. Legislation means zero all if you're not going to enforce it. So I would argue that from the top, you're going to get that kind of permissiveness. So the General Assembly isn't doing anything, et cetera, and Republicans have control. So Republicans, if you're really law and order, let's see what you got, because in this state, the lion's share of the control, the lion's share of it rests in the General Assembly. They have control, and I think they have a little bit of culpability here, but they better get their ass in gear here, because Trump isn't going to be here, right? And things have to be done at the state level. We need oversight right now.
In the Congress, we have the House and the Senate. Why aren't we codifying things into law? I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're right.
Level.
They're in recess all the time, and things are
I'm
very.
saying, when can it be done? If we have
we don't have confirmation of the judges that we need and the prosecutors that we need to control crime at this level. And I'm going to tell you something, because I'm going to get real mad here. Tom Tillis. That's one. He is a problem. So when he's saying, I'm not going to do these confirmations, et cetera, Sean, you and I have talked about that with Ed Markey. He wouldn't do that. So you've got a lot of people up there that are not singing from the same hymn book, if you will.
So the problem, to answer your question, Eric, this is the question that I asked a few months ago, Sloan, on this very podcast, is
right.
We are halfway through the first year of the Trump administration. Why are we not codifying anything? What has Congress passed? They haven't passed anything. Well, the answer, Eric, to your question is because there are some trans Republicans that don't. Their vested interest is not part of the bill, and therefore they're not going to move it forward. And I'm not saying that that's Tom Tillis. I'm not saying that it's this one or that one. But in general, my view is that there is a group of Republicans who just say, we're not willing to do this, and we have such a slim majority.
Yeah. But you just said something important. We're talking about Republicans being a problem for two different reasons. First of all, we've got North Carolina and the state. They have a lot of discipline, et cetera. They should be doing this oversight, et cetera, right? And then we've got ones that don't have. So in other words, what the hell?
So if we lose the House, if we lose the House and the Senate in North Carolina and in Congress,
we're not going to.
No, I'm just saying the excuse is going to be we can't get anything done because Democrats have the House or Democrats have the Senate. So I want make sure y'all play this back. If that happens, we're going to hear the only reason we can't pass this is because we don't have the super majority anymore. That's the only reason we can't get anything done. Because right now we have the House, we have the Senate. In North Carolina, we don't have the governorship, but we do have the possibility of veto. We have gotten something through overriding the veto with some help from the Democrats. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so Democrats, yeah, and there are some.
So why aren't we continually putting stuff on the governor's desk? Should be like those memes of where there are papers piled up to the eyes. We should have so many things on Governor Stein's desk, it's up to his eyes. We should have so many things on President Trump's desk that is up to his eyes. Why aren't, I know, Sean, you already answered the question. I'm really not asking. Why are we not codifying? We're coddling, but we're not codifying. And those same guys and gals are going to be on the campaign trail asking for money in less than 12 months.
Yep.
Making a promise to fight Democrats, making a promise to protect families, putting up this young lady's picture that died on the train and how we need to protect her and other girls. And we're going to donate and we're going to vote for them and they're going to get in office and it's going to be more of the same.
You're not wrong.
I mean, but look, you know, I've been saying that an awful lot, and we need to keep saying it. We need to hold our party accountable. I think all of us here on this show right now do that. So the one thing, though, we need for Eric, because you are running in Harnett County, and we know we're discovering right now. So in Charlotte, you got a city council, you've got all that. That's very important to keep, you know, the cops, everything going on with the cops, law and order, etc. When you're in a county, the county commission serves the same way. So Eric is going to be the law and order person in Harnett, and we need to raise $1 million tonight for your campaign. So where can people donate?
Well, the first thing is, you know, we just hit the airwaves declaring that we're running for several reasons. I won't get into that tonight, but my website is up. It's ericstevensonnc.com. So you can go there and you can DM me here on X. You know, that's a great place, Eric Stevenson NC as well. But ericstevensonnc.com. The site should be up and running because we literally just filed all our paperwork with, you know, we got our EIN and we filed our paperwork with the IRS. So, you know, we have to get our bank account approved and connected to the donation website, which should happen in the next few days. But please, 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 connect with me here on X, inbox me and say, hey, I'm willing to volunteer. Hey, I want to donate. Let me know when the link is ready. And I'll be back on here again and I'll be out here fighting. But I really want to stay in the fight. And what I found out that it takes money. I had a lot of pride when I ran for Congress. I'm not asking for any money. I'm a man. I go out and make my own money. You know, I go out and do this myself. So I'm thinking my personal own $4,000, you know, I'm going to run for Congress and I'm going to freaking win with this $4,000 of my hard-earned money.
Cute. You were so cute when you were young. I remember you then.
Doggone it. I'm going to win. Be the first person to spend $4,000. Then I started doing more research as every week went by. I'm on FEC.gov. I'm seeing people financial reports. $1 million here, $2 million there, $3 million here. And I said, oh, it's not candidate quality, it's candidate cash. And I start connecting dots. This family is behind this person. This person's cousin is a politician over here. And I said, okay, don't change the rules to the game. I'm just going to learn how to play the game and play it better. Right. So yeah, Harnett County, I'm here for you. I live here in Harnett County. I pay taxes here. I'm raising 2 daughters here. Been married for 20 years to my beautiful wife. I'm a veteran. I'm a disabled veteran. I'm heavily involved in a homeless shelter community. And I'm an advocate for removing books that are inappropriate for all children in North Carolina. And I would love your support, whether it's volunteering or donating, man. Reach out to me. Thank you. Okay, excellent. And Sean, you're going to be on a lot. We're going to be talking a lot about Charlotte politics because you don't know, no one knows, but there's actually a mayoral race. So we're going to be covering that because I think that's the definitive way to really get things changed there. So we're going to have some announcements coming up on that. And we're about to get into it, folks, because people understand now that you need to vote like your life depends on it. Don't think that I'm a cheerleader for the Republican Party. Hell, you know what the worst thing I was called? I've been called Christ killer, dirty Jew, whatever. Okay, that's horrible. I was called a damn Democrat last week. A Democrat.
I don't know what I would do, Sloan, if someone called
honestly, me. Well, it's because I dared to speak the truth about my own party's dealings. That one was a low blow.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
That's hard to swallow.
That's
a good one. Whoever said it, hey, kudos. That was a good one.
Below the belt. Below the belt. So, but my point is that we're not cheerleading for anything else but conservatism out here. And it means something. So when you're running as a conservative, we will hold you accountable, and we're big into accountability. Sean, we always talk about this, is that, audits that go nowhere, all this other stuff. And we've had the auditor on this show who we like very much, Dave Bolak, who speaks the same language. So it's really about accountability to doing what you say you're going to do when you run.
And it was amazing too, we had him on, early on I believe we had him on during the election, and he was saying,
and then after,
this is what I'm going to do. And then having him on after the fact, when he said, this is what we did, or going over what he did. Maybe we didn't have him on that second time. I can't remember, but
we did. Yeah.
He did what he said he was going to do.
Yeah.
And he went through the audit, and he, went through the DMV, and he did what he said he was going to do.
The DMV.
And, it was fabulous to watch and see, he did what he said he was going to do. And it was inspirational. And I think that we need more of that. And you're right. There is a mayoral race coming up here in Charlotte, and I'm going to have a lot more to say about it as time goes on.
Good stuff.
Well, we definitely will. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you on Thursday night. Thank you guys for joining. And it's always fun when we get together, even though we're talking about serious things. It's always fun having like-minded people, being like-minded. Good night, y'all.
47 Club.
That's right. 47 Club, by the way. Website, yes. 47 Club. Okay. Yep. Okay. Sean is a business owner. 47club.com. Great t-shirts. We back them all the way.
That's a wrap on today's NC Political Tea. We hope you're leaving sharper, spicier, and ready to take on the political craziness in the Tar Heel State. If you loved what you heard, or even if it made you mad, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this show with your friends, family, and that one coworker who just needs the truth. Follow us on social media to stay in the loop and get your daily dose of conservative fire. And remember, here in North Carolina, the grassroots grows stronger when we stand together. Until next time, keep the faith, keep up the fight, and don't let the left water down your tea. This is NC Political Tea, where we spill it like it is.